Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here, coming at you with yet another weather forecast and discussion for the upcoming severe weather event that'll be transversing today through the plains, tomorrow through Dixie Alley, and then on Wednesday going into portions of the mid-Atlantic regions. I'm going to have all the details in today's video. So let's first get started here with weather-wise. We're looking at our Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook here. You can see a level 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale for portions of central Oklahoma going into northern Texas. I meant to talk about this yesterday, but unfortunately I didn't quite remember this, but we have a slight to enhanced risk for severe weather across these areas. And as we take a look here at our tornado probabilities, we see a 10% non-significant chance here. So we could see quite a few spin-up tornadoes. I really wouldn't be shocked to see a strong one that forms in those storms later on. And I also wouldn't be shocked to see especially this part of the risk get expanded a little further off to the northwest to account for the rapidly developing supercells later on this evening into tonight. And also, we have a 30% chance of wind as well. Could they hatch this? Probably not, but you definitely could see localized 70 to 80 mile an hour gusts, especially over here in this area where storms will begin to fire. So we're really going to have to watch that closely. And then as we head into our hail risk, just an overall 15%, really could see a little bit greater probabilities over here. Not really expecting them to get introduced, but just know that you could see hail larger than an inch in diameter tonight. We're going to start the clock here in Oklahoma tonight as we move on through. This is in 15-minute increments. We're close enough to see this. See a massive explosion of a line of messy supercells moving through around 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, firing up near Dodge City, Medicine Lodge area, and this will continue to unzip further off to the south here. Look at that. My goodness, we are talking about a classic, kind of like a comma head shape here. And if anything were to be semi-discrete to fully discrete, we could see an isolated strong tornado, though I'm not really expecting that to be the case. But look at this here. Very fine line here of severe weather pushing through Clinton, Enid, OKC, Oklahoma City, going to be around 2, 3, 4 a.m. tonight. Backing up Wichita here around 12:01, 2 a.m. tonight as well. And you can see this continuing. Look at more firing up down here in Texas. Moving into Dallas, it looks to be around 5, 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can see outline there. And some more supercells firing off. Another conditional strong tornado risk may exist down here as well. So we really got to monitor the local model trends here and see where this goes. Now your ingredients here look exactly like this. You can see quite a bit of storm energy ongoing right as we speak, between 1,000 2,000 joules per kilogram. But this hatched area on top of it is convective inhibition. This is essentially dry air in the mid to upper levels, which is preventing any storms from firing. This is going to change. Look at that storm energy really blowing up, and boom, right there you could see your cells firing up there in that environment. Right along this line here, about 1,000 to 1,500 CAPE will exist ahead of these storms. So storm energy, not really an issue, especially down here in Texas, almost 2,000. So yeah, we're really going to have to see what this does, and then obviously going into tomorrow. Supercell composites here, well, your ingredients are not going to be an issue. Look at this, some pink colors here moving into tonight. If you get a semi-discrete cell, it could produce a strong tornado, fairly a likely chance of it, but this looks to remain very messy. Then further south here, especially here, around 5 to, let's say, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, a corridor of higher composites may develop, and we could see maybe some semi-discrete supercells move into that environment. So definitely a conditional strong tornado risk around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that moves on through. And speaking of tornadoes, here's your significant tornado parameter here. You can see definitely got some maxed out values in here, so just bolsters the reasoning here. And you can see, like I said, that local environment they're setting up, we really got to see what that ends up doing tomorrow morning. And then, of course, with all that, you have to have helicity as well, and those values are right off the charts. Wow, over 500 helicity here across Oklahoma. Moving further south, over 500 again. So wind shear kinematics are not going to be an issue with this first round of severe weather. Now, really quickly, before we move on, it's a little unrelated. I just wanted to quickly mention, I saw this from someone else who was live streaming and stuff I was following with, and I'm like, hey, I should include this in my video. Fire weather risk. I know you all are used to this down here in, western Texas and eastern New Mexico, but still extreme fire danger, a 3 out of 3 on the fire weather risk scale. Avoid outdoor burning if you can. This will continue into tomorrow as well. And take a look at that down near San Antonio. That is going to be very significant. So you could see quite a few wildfires pop up here across the board and spread rapidly in your red and pink areas. So please be cautious out there and keep your eyes on a swivel and report any fires that you see to, say, your local National Weather Service office or other official sources as well. Now let's go ahead and move further on with your severe risk into Tuesday, and you can see here garbage moving through eastern Texas, but you still see a couple of supercells here, really going to be kinematically favored here. That's why they kind of have that curly Q. Not much storm energy to work with, but just enough to where you can't deny the risk. You definitely could see a strong tornado in this area. Take a look at this going into Tuesday evening here. You have some nice confluence bands right here that end up forming, especially this one. Could see quite a few water spouts, possibly even a couple strong ones trying to move onshore south of New Orleans. We really got to monitor that, as that's definitely a conditional strong tornado risk there. And yeah, these supercells come pretty organized here. I mean, take a look at these things here. These are getting a little bit large here, so we'll have to see, definitely going to agree with the Storm Prediction Center here for a strong tornado risk tomorrow evening. And moving up into Arkansas, we are starting to see this here going into tomorrow morning. Got that big QLCS line of severe weather pushing on through. Moving into Arkansas here through tomorrow afternoon, not talking about much. And this just continues. Just damaging winds is your main risk, right? That's about all we're seeing. And yeah, winter is coming back as well. Yeah, could see some snow as well going into Wednesday morning. Can't leave you all out, right? Moving further off to your east here, across Alabama, Mississippi here, just to get a better look at these supercells. Look at Jackson, Mississippi here, around, it looks to be 4, 5, 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. That is what we are seeing. And yeah, I mean, definitely trying to organize a little bit more into your overnight hours. You could see this here. A lot of curly Qs, some curly Qs along your linear segments as well, especially got to watch like Montgomery here, Meridian, Camden, Evergreen, Mobile, Pensacola perhaps, with your strong tornado risk, and that begins to kind of fizzle out a little more moving into Georgia into Wednesday morning. Now for your ingredients, here are your dew points here. You can see this little area of instability, this little lick here, where you will see a favorable environment. But there is a bit of a catch with this severe weather risk. And again, I was watching someone's live stream last night, as I always do, and he was mentioning this, and he was all confused about it, and I can't blame him. This is a very tricky setup. So let's put it simply here, right? We have multiple players on the field in this tiny little area. Let me explain what it is. So, firstly, I'd like to mention that you have your cold front back here. Wait, Alex, no, that can't be right. It's right here, right? You have your high dew points here, it kind of drops off. There's likely colder air rushing in. No, not at all. This is your cold front. What this is, believe it or not, is your dry line out here. This is peculiar, isn't it? Actually, it stretches all the way up here. Your dry line being left over from your overnight convection from tonight. So this is a very abnormal setup here where we have just multiple different boundaries and frontal interactions going on. And now you're probably thinking, well, that's still a pretty large warm sector, especially on your southern half. Wrong, because guess what? You have yet another issue here. This is actually cut off here, and you have an initiation boundary that is setting up right in this area here. So really, your main area where your severe weather will be firing off is this teeny tiny area right within here. That is where your severe weather will be. This back here is where your highest storm energy will be. But that right there is behind your initiation boundary and ahead of your dry line. And obviously behind your dry line, you won't see much either next to your cold front. So very convoluted, right? But yeah, very complex, confusing, abnormal severe weather setup for Dixie Alley standards. This whole conglomerate mess will move on through, and you could just see got decent dew points, but again, cut short because your initiation line is right here. All right, you can see it from your boundary here. So only the stuff here out in front of it is going to be worth watching. Nothing back in this area. So this is a little bit advanced, but trust me, it's not as complicated and confusing as it looks. Speaking of your actual storm energy, let's take a look at this here. Yeah, so this is very deceiving. You're thinking, well, you definitely have a decent amount of it here, right, in this general vicinity, but again, notice where I circled, only the stuff out in front of it will matter, and it is all capped, so not gonna really see much supercellular development off of this. I mean, you could see a couple of them try to break through the cap and sustain. It's gonna be very challenging to forecast. That's all I'm gonna say. And then you could see it really becoming separated. Absolutely none of this back here is going to play a factor. Only the stuff out here will, and there is not much of it, and it is pretty much dead to the event. Supercell composites, as we move quickly here, got some oranges and reds, so right along that line is where you're going to see your highest tornado, strong tornado potential here. And then it meets up a little bit more in your overnight hours, and we'll just have to wait and see where that goes. Tornado parameters here, I'm going a little fast. There's a lot to cover here. We're talking about pretty elevated values as well. And your helicity, off the charts. I don't need to explain that. If you had more storm energy, this would be a very significant, potentially even super outbreak here, like some people were saying a few days ago before the downtrends occurred. So bear that in mind. Wait a minute. As we move further north, we have another threat for severe weather. What's happening? All right. This is called a cold core setup here. Basically, you have a limited amount of storm energy in here and a lot of cold air aloft to work with. So you get this banding feature here of storms that develop. And as we go through tomorrow evening, you get this line of kind of semi-discrete supercellular shapes here that move through into Springfield, Columbia, Missouri, Kansas City as well. So we could definitely see a couple tornadoes off of this. So definitely going to be more organized than the slop fest in Dixie, right? A lot of storm chasers are going to be down there, and a lot are going to be up here as well, choosing this event over the other, because this is, trust me, going to be a lot more fun in retrospect. Your helicity here, this is a little bit different. You don't have nearly as much, but you could see some little areas in here try to sustain around 100 to 200 meters squared per second squared, and that is just barely enough to sustain a tornado risk. And a land spout risk as well, but definitely not a strong tornado threat with that. If these storms are able to sustain through the evening, well, we'll have to see. Definitely higher helicity values. You see some areas of 300, even a blip here upwards of like 400. So again, it's going to be an outcasting situation for sure. Now, a little bit of a secret player in the field is going to be your extremely considerable damaging wind risk here across the Great Plains. Take a look at this. Talking about wind gusts going into tomorrow afternoon between 50 and 65 miles an hour out of your north. So, again, going across those areas, even into portions of your far northern Texas panhandle, almost 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. This is going to be very significant. I expect trees come down, power lines to also have damage. There will likely be widespread power outages for areas that generally see it with these windstorms. So just be very mindful of that. And as I'll show you in a minute, we have a lot of snow ongoing here as well. We really need to watch out. And this continues, and man, oh man, Kansas City is going to be getting racked. Areas just off to the west of it, 60 to 65 mile an hour gusts with snow. Again, that's going to be a major blizzard concern. Take a look at that in just a minute. And here it is. So you can see all your severe weather on going over here, but look back here. Lots of a moderate to heavy snow that is going to be falling here across portions of southern South Dakota, western portions of Nebraska, western Kansas, eastern Colorado as well. Again, this snow will be on top of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. This is very serious. And as we go into, say, portions of Nebraska and Kansas here, far eastern, like Sioux City, Norfolk, Lincoln, Hastings here, Wichita, Kansas, that is significant, Salina, Kansas, and then, of course, further off to your east, this is heavy, wet, blowing snow here. And it's over here, maybe a little more dry as well, with damaging winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles an hour. So a major blizzard will be likely tomorrow night. There will be 0-mile visibility. Do not go anywhere. Stay off the roads, okay? You won't see in front of you, and the snow could pile up on the roadways pretty quickly. This, again, is going to be a major situation. All right, now after the winter break here, we're going to be taking a look at your wind gust map further east, and let me tell you, this is very concerning. We're going to start here in Arkansas. Gusts up to 30 to 40 miles an hour across the whole state starting tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. Across eastern Texas, most of Louisiana as well, you'll just see this swath of wind sweep on through here and quickly begin to intensify. Gusts over 50 miles an hour possible in Arkansas. Mississippi, some isolated locations about 60 miles an hour, as you can see here. Really embedded with your storms. Moving into western, central Tennessee, holy mountain wave, my goodness. We're going to take a look at eastern Tennessee in just a second here. You can see those really damaging winds. As we go through Alabama as well, very strong, possibly damaging winds. And even on your plateau of middle Tennessee, 50, 60 miles an hour. And then East Tennessee, holy cow, yeah, we are talking about widespread, strong, possibly damaging winds across that area there. Mountain wave winds are going to be going haywire tomorrow night, gusting up to 60 to 80 miles an hour in your mountains and foothills. Intermediate foothills, possible gusts up to 60, and everywhere else up to 50. Very serious. Now, I'm actually about to make another video just about this area because a lot of you all live here, and it's been a while since I've done an urgent local forecast discussion, and I thought I would do that. Okay, moving across Georgia, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, and then goodness me, and there's more, and goodness, another wind advisory level day going into Wednesday with 40, 45 mile an hour gusts across the whole state of Tennessee and Georgia. And now we're going to take a look into Wednesday. This is, I promise you, the last thing we're going to look at in this video from the NAM model here. We're taking a look at a very messy line of showers, not particularly thunderstorms at this point. Moving on across North Carolina, South Carolina here, into portions of Virginia. But the real thing I'm trying to look at here is going into Wednesday afternoon. We're talking about a little bit of elevated storm energy ahead of this line here, and this could feed in a bit of a tornado risk across, say, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Lumberton, Greenville, Raleigh possibly, Norfolk, Cape Hatteras, Newport, you get the idea. And this moves on through, and then we could see, Wow, a couple more supercells firing off, moving through the afternoon. That one near Charlotte has that nasty hook on it, so we're just going to have to see what that does, but there is a very slim chance for maybe an isolated strong tornado, but I wouldn't put any cards into it. Especially that supercell near Danville there looking very significant, so could have a bit of a sleeper tornado risk in the afternoon, evening hours of Wednesday. And then we will discuss this later. I am not in the mood to talk about that right now. Storm conditions here go like this. You have quite an abundant amount of storm energy for North Carolina standards. You all know that 1,000 joules per kilogram is well over enough for your area, especially with all that wind shear moving through. And then you could see some of your storm energy behind the line where your supercells could form about 1,000 as well. So certainly a suitable environment. Looks way more organized than the stuff down in Dixie, I'm telling you that much. But you could see that moving on through. Supercell composite values here a little elevated in your oranges and red colors there. And of course, moving into your significant tornado parameters here, even more elevated. Definitely a lot of red colors here, so you really got to monitor this, right? Just out ahead of your line and behind it as well, where you could, like I said, maybe squeeze out a strong tornado, but it is nowhere near a guarantee. And of course, with your helicity values, this is why I kind of bring it up here. See some of your localized maximums here around 300 to 400 meters squared per second squared. Definitely favorable for some sort of a tornado risk with your supercell development. Holy cow, that was a lot, and I tried to go as fast as I could because I have another video to record, right? And with that said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, and share this video with your family and friends on social media so they could stay informed of your multi-day severe weather / tornado risk that could be occurring, and your major blizzard as well. Do not forget about that, all right? Take that seriously too. And if you wish, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below, letting me know on any future suggestions you'd like to see from me. With that said, have a wonderful night, everyone, and stay safe. Monitor that severe weather risk and those damaging mountain wave winds going into tomorrow evening.